Let's move on to the Plains, guys. Let's move over to Auburn. And we've got a new head coach, third out of four teams that we're starting this show with a new head coach. The Auburn Tigers bring over Alex Golesh, who I'm pretty familiar with. He was at USF here in Tampa for a couple years and had a dynamite year last year. He's bringing over his quarterback, Byrum Brown, who I think, that guy is, he was an AAC stud, at least in terms of his ability to use his legs and distribute the ball with his arm. I don't know how he's going to translate to the SEC. I don't know how this roster, basically completely rebuilt roster, is going to do in the SEC in year one for Golesh, but I love Golesh's energy. He's a good young coach. It seems like he's kind of re-energizing the Auburn fan base, and there was a good amount of support at the spring game, and headlines have been fairly positive about him and what the players and the guys are saying about him. He's engaging with the important boosters and the fan base. So seems like things are off to a good start through, off season one of the Alex Golesh era and on the Plains for War Eagle. So yeah, I'm bullish on Golesh as just in general as a program builder at Auburn. We'll see how it goes in year one. Marsh, I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are and your, forecast is for the Auburn Tigers in year one of Alex Golesh.
Yeah, call me biased for War Eagle here. Not because of Auburn, but because I took my last two college courses at USF. So technically I'm a USF grad, alumni, Bowls, what's up? But honestly, Alex Golesh has been incredible. He's a good football coach. I don't care what anyone says. The guy came to USF. He turned a 1-11 program around. He won 23 games in 3 seasons, went 9-3 last season. Honestly, the games that he lost ran into the buzzsaw of Miami, of course, but Byrum Brown and the boys, like, he had that team humming. And I think coming into an SEC program where he's going to get some more resources under his belt, I like what Alex does. He's a tempo builder. He's an offensive guy. I mean, DJ Durkin is still there as well. So when we look at this team overall, they've got the pieces on the staff there. You bring in Byrum Brown, who is one of the more experienced quarterbacks, dual threat, but he's not a dual threat. We just talked about Mississippi State, Kamario Taylor. It's not a run first guy. Byrum Brown truly is a great thrower of the football. There's a little bit of improvement, but he's got the arm talent. He's got the legs. He's a smart player. He's experienced. I like what they're doing here at Auburn. They brought over the pieces that mattered from USF, but it wasn't a North Texas North at Oklahoma State or a Memphis Southwest at Arkansas. This is truly just, hey, we're going to bring a couple pieces that make sense, but we're also going to keep some of these key players at Auburn. They did a good job selling these guys on, hey, this is going to be the culture. This is going to be where we're headed. And I look at like Xavier Atkins in particular on the defensive front. DJ Durkin is just a linebacking machine. I mean, this guy builds a linebacker core. I love it. Listen, he had 84 tackles, 17 tackles for loss, 9 sacks last year at the linebacker position. He's an All-American level player. So I like what Auburn has been doing. The defensive continuity is great. Now, granted, they lose a couple pieces, but it's one of those things where if Cam Coleman doesn't leave, I think Auburn is the wrecking ball that the top teams in the SEC don't want to see with the new additions. Now, of course, that's easy to say. It's like, okay, you can't talk about additions and subtractions at the same time, but Cam Coleman going to Texas is certainly going to hurt. I think replacing him, the receiver room, you bring over the top receiver from USF, so there's continuity there with Golesh and Byrum Brown. However, I like the culture that's being built there. I like Alex Golesh. I like DJ Durkin. I like Byrum Brown. I mean, I think when you look at Xavier Atkins running the defense, you've got a smart player with the green dot. Listen, there is certainly some things to be happy about if I'm an Auburn fan, and I hope we see some some TPing of trees sooner than later with this team and this program.
Yeah. Ryan, this program's lost 7 games, exactly 7 games for 5 years in a row. Their over-under this year is 6.5. If they were to hit 7 losses again, that would be a pretty clear under on that 6.5 number. So do we see Auburn in year 1 of the Alex Golesh era? Do we see them buck the trend and not have 7 losses or more in year 1 and maybe get to 6-6 or 7-6 and win a bowl game? Or do you think we're going to see year 6 in a row of at least 7 losses for the Auburn Tigers?
I'm glad you asked me this because this is my pick of the night. Over 6.5 wins. I absolutely love that number. I think you bring Byrum Brown and Golesh from South Florida. You look at what they did last year and you look at what the problem at Auburn really was the offense. And that is what I think they are going to be able to fix. And Max mentioned it. DJ Durkin is there. And they had a pretty good defense last year. They held Oklahoma to 24. They lost 24-17 to Oklahoma, 16-10 to A&M, 20-10 to Georgia. So they were holding these good teams early in the season to not scoring that much. They just couldn't score themselves. So I think that if they can fix the offense, they have a great chance to win over 6. And as I looked at their schedule, yeah, it's tough. It's an SEC schedule, but Baylor, I think they can win. Southern Miss, I think they can win. Florida, I think they can win. Vandy, I think they can win. Tennessee, I think they can win. They have Samford late in the season. Arkansas, Mississippi State. I think they have 8 very, very winnable games for them. This is, of course, counting on Brown being good, but I do think he's a good quarterback. They are actually my sleeper pick for the college football playoff at plus 900. Am I very confident in that? No. And I don't even know if I will place it yet. But of all the odds I was looking at and how much I like this combo of Golesh and Brown, that number kind of stuck out to me. It's hard to, before you see him play a game, it's hard to make that bet. But that might be a bet after week 2 or 3 I place some money on.
I don't hate that. That probably requires them to get at least 1, if not 2, of these wins between at Tennessee, at Georgia, at Ole Miss, or at Alabama. That's 4 of their 5 road games. You probably have a chance at 9-3. Although I don't think we've seen a 9-3 team get in the college football playoff, right? So you probably have to be at least 10-2 to feel confident. So that means,
a 9-3 SEC team is getting in this year.
Yeah,
with
probably
the
7.
They certainly
probably
could.
7 and
They
7
certainly
and 5
could.
team probably.
Yeah, so I mean, it definitely could happen. 9-3 is on the table. Their home schedule, I think they could go undefeated at home. I mean, they've got Baylor to start the year in Atlanta, another litmus test game for old Sankey boy. And then they got Southern Miss, they got Florida, they got Vanderbilt. So they don't go on the road until October. They go to Knoxville to play the Volunteers, and then a rivalry game at Georgia after a bye week. And then, I mean, the second half of the schedule gets considerably tougher. But yeah, I mean, at Ole Miss, Arkansas at home, at Mississippi State, bye game Samford, and then at Alabama. Not impossible, right? I kind of like the you putting your nuts on the table and back in War Eagle here. They've got the schedule, they've got kind of the new coach energy, the quarterback, like the defensive coordinator returning. Auburn could be a really interesting team come October, going to Tennessee, going as a 4-0 Auburn at Tennessee. Tennessee we'll get to here later in this show, but winnable game. And then can you beat Georgia or Ole Miss or Alabama on the road? All are probably going to be favorites, but Auburn last year, what do we got here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 one-score losses in the SEC. You could give them a 7th if you count the Georgia game, which ended up being 20-10, but They should have been up 17-0 on Georgia in that game and got kind of screwed on a really bad call by the refs. But they lost basically all of their games last year in the SEC as one score kind of coin flip type games. And you're right, the defense was good. They got their defensive coordinator back. So I like the Tigers, and I think they're for them to be considered, kind of the 13th best team in this conference. There's some validity to this being a very deep conference for sure. Probably more flat, but deep at the bottoms.